episode. How excited are you?
I'm buzzing.
Buzzing. So I have to put my geeky glasses on to read it because I feel like I won't do her justice. But, you know, when we're talking about money and we're talking about life and planning and all the rest, we are so excited to welcome Emmelia Powell, Director of Premier Wealth Solutions, an independent family-run financial planning firm. Emmelia also launched the subsidiary PWS Sports Pro in 2020 alongside her professional footballer husband Nick, and together they all bring 40 years of professional experience to helping people make, manage and maintain their money.
Incredible. I'm really excited for this. Emmelia is empowering women and families to take control of their financial future, believing everyone deserves clarity, confidence and control when it comes to money. I think that's so huge.
Yeah, massive.
Amelia's written articles for the Financial Times, Money Marketing, Cheshire Life and many more. That is just remarkable. It's incredible, Emmelia. Whilst also featuring on industry podcasts.
Yeah, Emmelia has been accredited with a long list of prestigious awards. So encouraging and empowering to see a female lead the way in, I hate to say it, but what is a historically male-dominated industry. And all this while raising 3 small children, going back to further education. Just wow. So whether you are starting out, you're mid-career, or you're planning for future family goals, Emmelia is here to provide no jargon, no confusion, just straightforward, honest advice to help make smarter money choices.
I'm really looking forward to this, Emmelia. So you are very welcome.
Welcome!
Onto the Motherloading podcast.
Yes!
All of that, wow. Like, you're incredible. How on earth do you keep up with it all?
Yeah. Where did it all start?
Where did it all start for you?
I mean, work's an escape. We've all got kids, right?
Yeah.
And it started on my second maternity leave.
Right.
I was employed for a UK bank, went through an apprenticeship scheme, and it was great. You come out of school and you don't know what direction to point, do you? Think,
Yeah.
I don't really know what I'm going to do. And I was slightly guided by my husband staying local, so I didn't go to uni. And I just realised I hated working for somebody else. I didn't find it particularly inspiring. I was in IT, but it was great just to get my foot in the door, have a go at work, to see what it was like. And then 2 maternity leaves later, I am one of those that was not satisfied just by motherhood and happy to confess that.
Yeah.
Love my children, loved spending time with them. People would often say to me, God, you're out a lot. You are filling the day. And it just must be my disposition to be like, let's just cram.
You're a doer.
Yeah, let's just do loads.
Yeah.
And I used to sit for that lovely 2-hour nap. I used to love that nap. And I'd sit there and I'd have a sketchbook and I'd be like, what can I do? What business can I create? I was just longing for some sort of identity, for something to just pour my heart into that was more than changing a nappy or smelling poo because I thought there was a dairy intolerance. Like I needed, give me more than this. And I striked a really nice balance. It all came together. And I think I've done about 14 exams in 5 years. So,
Wowza.
Yeah, I took that a bit too far, didn't I?
But to be fair, look at what you've achieved in that space of time. It's obviously your natural calling, you know, to be accredited with all the awards, which we did want to list out, but there was so many. It was such a mouthful. We didn't want to leave some out. We will put them all up on the socials. To be commenting on the likes of the Financial Times is really phenomenal. And I really respect that you were honest about saying motherhood wasn't enough. And then obviously we don't want to focus a lot on it, but you have referenced, and you know, we referenced earlier, your husband's a professional footballer. Did you find when you're in the public eye like that, it becomes even more difficult to have your own identity too?
Yeah, I have always been an attachment to him, like a spare part of what he is and who people know him as. A lot of the times I'm not even named, or I do remember when I was working at the corporate job, the sort of head of department would walk past me in the morning and say, oh, I saw the scoreline last night. I was like, do you even know who I am?
Yeah.
But you were quite happy to comment on.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a superficial nature to people, and I do get it, and I get that football is a love sport, and I love the community element of it. But it was important for me, and actually, on the back of having a mum that worked, I don't know whether that was a really encouraging role model. She had always worked. I was always in wraparound care, grandparents picking me up. Not that I begrudged that or feel any resentment.
That was just
it
your
didn't bother me. That was just, what I knew. And it's a role model I'd like to set for the girls. If you don't want to work and you want to be a mum, then absolutely, but don't think you can't. Because you can.
That's a really good point.
So.
And thank you for saying that, because I don't know, you heard the intro earlier. I'm in that space right now where I'm so worried my kids are going to resent me for working. But I doubt it. No, I'm hoping they'll admire me for it. And listen, no offense, I know nothing about football. So I don't know who your husband is. But I really know who you are, in the sense of I follow you. The reason we invited you was because both of us are extremely inspired by the content you're putting out there. And what's really refreshing is it is really important conversations around financial planning, for yourself individually, for your kids, for your family. And as we said earlier, like a female leading that way.
Yeah.
And I think we felt it was really important, and I'll probably be like crucified for saying this. But the fact is, when we did our research, that still in today's world, either females are not, it's not a priority, or in a lot of relationships and cases, the man is still owning the financial responsibility, and not necessarily like earning, but what happens to our money? Like, what savings do we have in place? What investments do we have in place? What assets do we have in place? And I'm not saying that for everybody. Of course, there are women who are completely taking control of this, but research shows it is still very much, in inverted commas, the man's job.
Yeah.
And we want to change that narrative on that. And you're leading the way in doing that. So, and a lot of your videos on socials are quite relatable. They're easy to digest. It makes it simple.
That's why I love your content. And I was showing my partner last night. Anyone who's asked me about, does anyone know if I'm like, yes, and I'll send you your page, because I feel very out of my depth and very overwhelmed when it comes to finance. If someone starts talking about money, Michelle's brain just goes, no, thank you, and turns off. Because I didn't have finance in that. We didn't discuss things like that in my house. Like, mum was a teacher, dad was a construction worker. So it was never something that was discussed. So then when I got to an age where it probably would have benefited me to know things, I just didn't. So even now, I'll just go, nope, and I'll close my eyes and close my ears. But your content is so easy to digest. I love the fact that you're a female. I love everything that you've done. I love your success. I think it's fantastic. I'm all here for the women. So I would highly recommend giving Emmelia a follow, because she's amazing.
If we assume, right, let's just strip it all back, and we assume we're talking about your average family, average earnings, let's together, like married or not married, it doesn't matter, and maybe have some kids. If people are at the beginning and they're just thinking about the basics when it comes to financial planning for themselves and their kids, talk us through some kind of sub themes that they should be thinking about. Like, that's just easy breezy to start with.
Financial planning isn't complicated.
Right.
It really isn't. But it does require attention. The same way that we would plan to go on holiday. And I have friends that really love planning holidays, so they will plan it to the nth degree. Or if you were going to build a house or anything that required a sub-stack of events to happen, you would sit down and you would think it through. You wouldn't just go in blindfolded. You would make sure. Your finances require the same level of attention and care. Your family dynamic will change all the time. The rules around finance change all the time. So it does need continually revisiting, just as like an overarching statement. It's not, let's just sit down once a year, have a look through the latest bills, and then go, put that in that folder and put it back up in the loft. We've done it, love.
We've all done it.
Let's crack on now. Let's keep living. So I would say, try and find a habit where you can sit together with a partner. Open financial conversations are really important. I talk about that a lot online, that having an aligned, open discussion is crucial. You have differing financial objectives, it is going to cause arguments, isn't it?
So many couples don't talk about it.
They don't.
No,
They
it's
don't.
hard.
And it's what do you think the main contributing factor is to why couples do just blindfold themselves where it comes to money and income and things like that? It's one of those topics and areas
It
where
can be an awkward one.
you just don't want to talk about it because
Yeah.
like you just don't. It's like it's like a black hole.
Yeah. And I suppose like in Mark and I's situation, I would like to think we're both smart individuals. We've been in a world where, you know, we've seen, we work with startup companies, we work with large enterprise companies. Like this stuff is not new to us,
Yeah.
but we did not talk about it because his money was his money, my money was my money. We're not married. We're both independently, like financially secure. And we just got on with it. And then when we moved in together, we set up a joint account, which was just for our mortgage and the bills. And then all of a sudden it's like, we weren't those kind of people, but then like life adds up, and all of a sudden
like,
I'm
hey,
booking all the holidays,
I'm paying for all this.
I'm booking this, I'm booking all the kids' classes, I'm doing all the shops, I'm doing whatever, and I'm not a tight individual, right? But these
like
and then I felt really awkward having the conversation.
Yeah.
Whereas Emmelia, to your point, when it's just what you do and it's part of your life, like everything else, it doesn't have to get to that point.
Do you know what? A really interesting point, as you were saying there. If it is a hard conversation to have as a couple to sit down and talk about money, I would remove the monetary conversation from it and talk about the focus, the why, you know, where are we going, rather than, okay, so you'll put £100 in the joint account and I'll put £50 and then you need to send me this. Don't start with with the same ambition. Let's sing off the same hymn sheet, basically. Once we can align, you know, what do you want from life? Like, I want an extension and you want to retire at 40. Like, have you ever given that conversation the space it needs? Do you know what? And once you start breaking it down, so it's not really about money. Financial planning is not about money. It is all to do with engineering where you get, what do you want? You've got one life. How are we making the most of this? The money is just the tool, not the trophy. Like you need to know where you're going.
I've literally just had like a ha moment. Like that is so true. Like anything in life, it's about the why. Why are we doing something? How do we do it? And what's the impact going to be? What's the value to us as a family? So if people, so we're talking about budgeting, obviously everyone can sit down and go through what they spend each month. Do you have tips or tricks? Because I saw on one of your socials when you were talking about a use case, which was you've spent too much on summer, Christmas is coming. Like, talk us through some of the budgeting advice you give people.
Haven't we felt that summer holidays?
I'm feeling it right now.
Food shops, the like endless can I do, can I have? Budgeting, again, is simple if you've got a handle of it. You are going to have expenses that you have to meet every month. Mortgages, loans, childcare costs, they are the minimum. You should know those expenses. Everybody should know them. There is also other expenses that are going to crop up probably annually, like random insurance costs, birthdays, if you're big on Christmas costs, and people forget about those. So it is as parents, we're going to want to give some level of money to our kids in either presents or birthday parties. And what I see happening is people say, I'll know my fixed expenses, I know my mortgage costs this and stuff. And then they forget, oh no, there's also annual expenses that are going to crop up.
That's me.
We need to average that over 12 months and add that onto the fixed expenses.
Okay.
That's our baseline.
So sensible. It's
that's and things
I
like
need to operate like this.
Even just writing all your money down per month can frighten people because it's the reality.
That was the source of my tears last month.
Yeah.
Even writing it down.
Yeah. like how much you're spending, you realize the
I was like, I don't
outgoings
wanna
to
look,
the
I don't
incomings.
wanna
So
look.
there's a feeling that if you ignore it, it will just go away. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It do like sadly it doesn't. And going back to things like every 3 to 5 years or 10 years, you're gonna have a car. You're gonna need a car. There's lots of things that you need to consider that will come up and that will add to those fixed expenses. So
Right.
once you know them, you're in a better position to say, have I got anything left a month, or am I struggling? Like,
Yeah.
is there not that much left in the pot? And the course of action, depending on the outcome of you knowing your numbers, would be different. So if you have not much wiggle room
Yeah.
and you are struggling then to sort of live, let alone save,
Yeah.
the focus should be reducing those fixed expenses. And it's a horrible, brutal truth. And I don't mean to say it without sympathies to the listener's position,
Yeah.
which I don't know. And it would be very different if I sat down with somebody and we looked at.
Yeah.
But reducing what your life costs you will give you more money back. But every decision we make, no matter the level of wealth you've got, and I've sat with people with more money than you'd think they'd ever need, there's always a compromise.
Yeah.
Nothing ever comes without compromise. And the example I would give is, I don't have any money left each month. Well, what can you do to reduce that? So do you need to have 2 cars, or are you going to have to go through a period of time where you have 1 car? Will that logistically work for your family? Can you afford to live in this house? Is that taking away something from your future? And going back to that cash flow modeling example, or the insight into your future, every bit that you take now will take away from something that you're building towards. So if your focus is, I can't live this rat race till I'm 65. I cannot work like this till I'm 60. I need a plan to live my 40s, to travel, to spend time with my kids. Then that motivates you much more to accept the short-term pain, accept, okay, I'm going to have to downsize, I'm going to have to change car, I'm going to have to change things to free up more money so I can save more, because I know what the end goal is, and I feel so motivated to create that for myself.
I love that. And it's genuinely like you're in my brain, because I think in today's world, and maybe it's always been there, there's an element of keeping up with the Joneses, right? So
Absolutely.
it's the more money you make, you have more things. You have better cars, you upgrade your car, you have a bigger house. And when Mark and I went through this exercise you talked about, we sat down and went, okay, the 2 teenagers are going to uni now. Do we need this size house? And Mark was like, I know, but I've worked so hard and I wanted this. And I'm like, but we want to retire at a reasonable age. We want to have nice
We want
holidays.
to live. We don't want to be
Yeah, and
asset rich and then lifestyle poor.
And I was like,
basically.
we don't have to prove anything to anybody. So we are talking about downsizing our house. So that we can plan for the future. We can afford to live in our house. It's not an immediate
beautiful
problem.
house.
Thank you.
Nikki, don't move.
It's not an immediate problem, but to your point, it's about thinking about the future and
Yeah.
what you want in life.
Yeah, and honestly, it does come with a compromise.
Say you're fortunate enough that you're left with a pot of money, or you have a bit of money and it's all in your current account.
Yeah.
If you were saying very high level, okay, you want to diversify some of that,
Yeah.
where would you start? Like, when it comes to the word investments, often seems like a very big word for people, but it doesn't have to be, does it?
No. Yeah.
Okay.
I would say that as we've touched on, the why and what your money is there to do is the most important. So that's the starting point. Investing is the last bit for me.
Okay.
And the housekeeping is know your numbers, know what we've got, know what we need to put aside for things that are going to happen within the next 5 years.
Is that the emergency fund you talk about?
So we've kind of got 2 cash pots.
Okay.
Dependent. And I'd have to apologise because all of this is a bit woolly because it's so hyper specific when you sit with somebody and you really know them inside and out.
Yeah.
So I'm just loosely talking about some of the things that I'd be considering when I sit with a new client or somebody that wanted some help. We would get a handle of the numbers, and then we would say, you need an emergency pot. And that is a bit of a sliding scale. So if you've got mortgage, kids, credit cards, expenses that you have to meet, you probably need more in cash.
Okay.
If you are 21 and you're renting your mum and dad's bedroom still and nothing else is kind of going out, then you probably don't need that much, because the purpose of the emergency part is when life happens, which it will, you don't need to take out debt. If you take out debt, you're going to pay interest, which can be up to 30%.
Right.
There's no way to offset that with any other sort of growth. Like even your earnings don't rise by 30% a year. Like it's dead money.
And you're talking about like credit cards.
I'm talking, yeah. Mortgages are a cheap form of debt, but loans, credit cards, even PCP car, repayments, like APR is 11.5% on some of those. So.
And what about these, when you see a lot of buy now, pay later, and they're targeting like Klarnas of the world, where they're targeting younger people to buy stuff. Are they high interest rates as well?
Well, they know how to get us when we're down, don't we? We've got an event coming up and we think, just do it, just order, and then you forget to return. Yeah, that'll have an interest rate attached to it as well. So an easy way to spend. But
so have that emergency fund for like mat leave, being out of work unexpectedly.
Absolutely. Yeah. So have an emergency part, and I've spoken about this on social. Knowing what your number is for an emergency will depend on a few factors. And then you're also likely to have buckets that you need to keep in cash. So as a general rule of thumb, if you need to save for something and within the next 5 years you need that money, do not invest it.
Right.
And there is quite a lot of evidence behind why you wouldn't do that. But essentially, high level, in a 5-year period, over the last 40 years, the markets have always recovered. But between 0 and 5 years, if you put money into an investment, it's going to bounce around. It's going to go up, it's going to go down, and it's influenced by factors nobody can predict.
And let's just take a step back. Just when we're talking about investment, just for the listeners, what can that mean? Like investment is such a broad term.
Investment is, it covers 4 different asset classes. You've got 3 things to consider when you're investing. So first is the provider. So these can be people, and this is not an endorsement of any of these names that I list, just the ones people will know. AJ Bell, Standard Life, Fidelity, Vanguard, they are the provider. So that's where you will log on and you will be able to see what you've invested in. Second, you're going to have the product. So this is things like ISAs, pensions, general investment accounts, bonds. They determine the tax of the product itself.
Oh, interesting. So pensions are seen as investment.
Absolutely. So everybody is inadvertently investing.
Yeah.
Everybody is.
Right.
And I mean, there's like 3,000 things I'm thinking of when you're saying all these things. Risk is a whole chapter that we could talk about what that actually means, because there's a risk to every single asset class. So being high risk, I could unpack that in a whole different way, because that is so crucial when we talk to people about their pension savings, because they just blob themselves in a standard pension fund and miss tens of thousands of pounds worth of potential returns.
So my mum, I was speaking to my mum about you being on the pod, and my mum's got a little pot of money, but I don't know if it's older generation and her kind of experience with money, negative experiences with money from her life. Money just scares her, like full stop. She doesn't know enough about it to want to even look at it. It's always been taken, so she just likes to just have it in a little pot, and she doesn't know anything about investment, basically.
Yeah.
So she was saying, she's had a little bit of inheritance from her mum that's just been sat there in a current account, just sat there. And I said, Mum, there's loads of things you can do with that, that you don't need to do anything, because it would concern her, give her anxiety if she had to move it or touch it or, put it around. So she was like, I don't know what else I can put it in to get it to grow. So what would you give us as a standard go-to piece of advice for, say, an older person who doesn't have that much experience or confidence with money? Like, is there a certain account that she could be putting it in that's not just a standard account that would maybe grow for her over a period of time?
That's a big question. That's
Is
not
it
like
a simple answer?
Yeah, it's not, because again, I go back to my advice is dependent on what you need. So for me to orchestrate something that puts you in the best position, I need to know
The journey.
what what do you need. If your mum said, I never need to touch this money, I just don't need it, really she should consider investing, because inflation is just going to erode cash.
Yeah.
But that's a big conversation in itself, and it probably needs somebody to sit with her and say, cash is risky.
Yeah.
We all think cash is safe because the number doesn't change, but actually the buying power of cash does diminish. So what is £100,000 today, if she left that for 15 years, will probably buy her the equivalent of £20,000.
Yeah.
If your money doesn't keep up with lifestyle just getting expensive, you can't afford the same lifestyle in 20 years. And that's the problem.
Right.
So we need cash because we don't want debt. And we need cash to pay for things when things go wrong, because they will. But we do not need cash to secure our financial future, because, I mean, a 99, Michelle, how much is a 99 now? It's not 99, is it?
£35.50.
Yeah. See, and is that not the prime example of if your mum left a little nest egg in a cash pot?
Yeah.
That 99 is the example of why cash is not the solution for people.
And I think
trying to
that's
grow
why
their money.
it's really important that I think sometimes, with all due respect to the world you come from, people are afraid of talking to financial planners because they think that they're just you're trying to just get them to spend all their money, or give
Going to open a can of worms.
Can of worms and give all my money. So we've talked about that, you know, as a family, you can budget. When you're budgeting, you're thinking about long-term plans, short-term plans.
Yeah.
Then you can work out your emergency fund. Then from there, you can work out investment if you want to invest. And then how to invest, I think, is a wider conversation.
Yeah, perfect.
Let's bring it back to, because all of us have referenced it here and there about our kids and kids. You know, we are all mums. We have kids of different ages. Something you said the other day has stuck to me, and I had a conversation with Mark about it this morning, being like, the future generation, our kids actually have no concept of money, like physical money.
Yeah.
Because nobody
Tap, tap, tap.
nobody uses cash anymore.
Yeah.
It's just tap, tap, tap.
Yeah.
So there is an idea that they are not going to understand any value of money, and that everything is just like
transactional.
We can have it. So I think
It's so abstract, isn't
so
it? It's
abstract.
like, oh, can I have a tenner? And it's just dropped into an
account.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Like,
how we speak to our kids and how we prepare our kids for the future world, because definitely schools are still not teaching enough of this, I think is incredibly important.
Schools are still teaching off a money-based curriculum. They still have to look at coins.
Do they?
In reception.
You're joking.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a bit of a minefield.
and then we've got crypto.
Oh, yeah.
And then we've got like a whole new...
Yeah, of
Just
course.
imagine, like,
I was going to ask you about crypto.
We were like an epiphany that grew up with Facebook. There'll be an epiphany that grow up with a whole different
currency
monetary system. Yeah.
So
crazy.
how do you know, when you're talking to family, or actually when you're just thinking about your own family, how do you approach the conversation of money? How do you prepare your kids for financial planning? How do you financially plan for your kids? I'd love to get an idea as a mum.
Yeah. I mean, parenting, there is no right or wrong way. So I'll just divulge, and I'm quite openly self-critical that I'm tight. I'm tight with my kids, you know.
I love it.
If something costs money, I will be telling them, you know, that was expensive. Mummy had to save for that. I need to work for that. No, we can't just do that. So my eldest is 8, and she made the cutest comment the other day. She plays football.
Right.
And I said, what are you going to do, Bells? You know, like, if you become a footballer, what are you going to do? She said, I'll give you my money, Mummy, because I know you'll help me look after it. And I was like,
Stop, that is so cute.
because at one point they just thought that I cooked and cleaned, and I was like, oh, I think I'm more than that, but it's okay. I'll take that. So in an ideal world, I will just continue being really transparent, and I don't know if I'm going to end up getting it right with being that transparent and saying you need to save and you need to, and this is what investing looks like and this is what good financial habits look like. Maybe that will create its own burden on them for just not having a money-free, like, happy childhood. But I will bring them along on that journey. They will have, I don't know if you've heard of Go Henry.
Yeah.
There's like, it's a new application. I do think you have to pay for it though.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's like, I'm pretty sure they used to take £5 a month from me, and then I cancelled it 'cause she's not at the point of using a card. But the objective of the card is, and I think NatWest do one for kids as well, that she has her debit card.
Yeah.
I can link chores on that debit card to a monetary value, which she can be paid into her bank account. She can then earn a wage through that. And then if she goes to the shop, if a card got rejected or something, it would notify me. And, you know, if she was buying £20 worth of Lucozade for her mates, then I'd be like, no. But if she was in trouble and needed a train ticket or something, I would be able to just send her money instantly. So I think that will form part of her financial responsibilities. I think it's really important that it can be a bit of, we can be drawn to micromanaging, and I want her to get it wrong.
Yeah.
I want you to feel poor at times. I want you to feel broke, and I want you to feel like you can't afford something, because incentivizing you to work hard and save and take responsibility of this is the best lesson I can give you.
100%.
I can't make you want to earn money, but if I just show you how hard it is to not have money, then maybe that will motivate you more. So they're very young, really. Yeah. So I'm not doing an awful lot, but I'm just being super open about money. Nothing, you know, it's pick 2 presents for Christmas. You can't have a birthday party and have a load of presents. So which one do you want? Again, compromise.
And that in turn will. So I always think we're all a product of our own experiences of our parents.
Yeah,
they also taught us the way that they did because of their parents, and I always just think you can't get it wrong. The way you do it is probably is different to say how I do it, but in turn, your daughters will either choose to emulate what you've done, or recreate their own. And how is that wrong?
Yeah.
So
Isn't
I just
that
think
the beauty of it? That none of us are the
of us
same here or living the same financial lives. Like, but there is a complementary lesson in us all doing it a bit different.
Yeah.
If we were all the same, all saving our money, never spending it, it just wouldn't work. Yeah.
And you said something earlier which really struck me, talking about there is no right or wrong, but I am always cautious of the balance of making my kids financially anxious.
Yeah.
In this world where sometimes we're all guilty, not everybody, but we can be guilty of just giving them stuff because we don't see them enough because we're working, or because it's just easier and you're compensating. And you know, I know people that, you know, want to be their kids' best friends, so they buy them stuff, which for me is not the right approach. So I'm very much like you. I talk about money and I say, Mummy has to work because we have to have the holidays, we have to do this. And Mark and I have had the conversation, are we doing it too much? Are we going to end up giving them anxiety? But what we've both agreed is there has to be a level of value for money and accountability. So in our household, we are going to assign chores, and we're going to go back to the old-fashioned way of, you do X amount this week and you get your pocket money. And that's your pocket money and your pot of money. And then they understand that that's theirs, and they look after it and they choose what to do with it. Personally, I think that's something we really, really want to be consistent in, and then educate them as they get older about savings. If they want something, they have to save for it, the value of money. Teach them about mortgages and pensions and life stuff.
Because school isn't necessarily setting them up for the world that they're about to enter. Yeah. So we're now entering a society where people can't get on the housing ladder. They can't afford what the baseline of living was for previous generations.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard for our kids, and maybe the listeners have got other ways that they help educate their children financially, because I don't think it's an expertise you can have, because it's what's relevant now, what's going on in the world, how can we just set them up to be good people that have a passion for something and work hard for something. And, you know, money isn't this emotional roller coaster, it's more to life. And gratitude doesn't come with a number, you know. It is a mindset of, I love the life I've created, and that doesn't necessarily mean I need a certain amount of money to live this life.
I love that. I love that. And you said before, because there are consequences to money, like everything in life. And when we were talking the other day, I loved the story you told about when you give your daughter money, and then if you go into a toy shop and she's like, "Mommy, I want this," and you're like, "Okay, cool, buy it out of your own money," and all of a sudden, I don't like it that much. That actually, that mindset, when it is coming out of their pocket, they think more about it. Do I really want this? Do I really need this? Is it something I'm willing to invest in? And I loved that.
Yeah, they were tight-fisted when it was on their card, but not mine. They were like, and do you know what? They're kind of like sassy when they'll be like, "What do you think of this, Mummy?" And I'm like, "You're priming me." Because you know, if I go, "Oh my God, I love it."
Yeah.
You think that it's on me. Yeah. And I'll say, "Yeah, it's really nice." And then it goes silent for a minute and I'm like, "You're paying for it."
Then it saves his birthday money. Saves it.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to put that in my pot. And I'm like,
Oh
but then he spends mine. But I thought I would be that parent who would say, right, chores. Me and my sister's got a twin sister, and 16 months between us two and our older sister. And my mum was like, chores. Every weekend you'd wake up to like the Hoover being banged against your bedroom door. Like you had to get up.
Yeah.
It's like, you're watering the plants, you're doing this, you're doing that. And we'd get a $5. I'd go to Altrincham, spend it on McDonald's.
Stunning.
Basically.
And it
Things
was
have not changed.
Every penny.
I'll still do anything for a double cheese. So that's how I was brought up. I also absolutely fucking hated it. I was like, my whole weekend is spent slogging my guts for £5 frigging pounds. And then at 14, she was like, off you go. So I went off and I got a job in a chippy. I have worked since about 13, 14. So it was like chippy. I've been everything. Barmaid, cleaner, all this. And I genuinely was like, yep, my son is going to know the value.
Yeah.
He is a prince. He does fuck all. Absolutely nothing. To the point, we were in France just this past week. And there was my Lenny, and then my boyfriend's niece came along with us.
Nice.
Same age as Lenny. Very independent. I didn't know if it was a girl versus boy
I think
thing.
that's girls. Yeah. That's not on.
I was like, "Can I do your hair?" No, I don't. And I'm like, "Okay, can I like Lenny to look pristine, right?"
Yeah.
So like, he's baby lotioned within an inch of his life every day. Hair perfect. He just looks gleaming.
Yeah.
But he lets me. So he's literally like sock on, like, and I'll put his socks on. I know. I treat him like an absolute prince. He's spoiled rotten.
I'm literally listening to you. Like, my kids are feral. And like nothing I can do.
Minor feral.
Yeah.
Minor feral.
Lenny is he'll just let me do it. But then he has absolutely no understanding or respect of money. And I do nothing to change that.
How old
Are
is
you
he
going
though?
to now though?
Nearly 8.
Yeah, but
He's
they're
nearly
so young.
But can I have this? Yeah. And from the age of him being like a baby, you know, when he's like, "Rrr," and he's broke something, I say, "Mummy, get you another one. Mummy, get you another one." So now something breaks, or he's lost something, he goes,
Mum will
"I
get
can have
another one."
And I'm like, "Lenny, that," and then I just think, but that's what I've taught you. And
So
I
is
do
this
get you another
pod
one.
and all the discussions we've been having the last week or so, has it made you rethink that?
I don't know. Like, my experience, like I've said before, I think we're all just a product of our own experiences and upbringing, right?
Yeah.
My mum was constantly stressing about not having enough money. So she will openly say that, because she still does. Her anxieties about money became mine and my sister's anxieties about money. So knowing that I used to carry her worries about being short and having to shop in charity shops, and we don't have that, and not being able to get a Christmas tree one year, and my auntie had to get it for us, so our Christmas wasn't shit. And I thought, I'm never gonna make my children aware of anything. So Lenny thinks we are loaded, because whatever he wants, Either I'll get it for him, Jack will get it for him, his dad will get it for him, his nana will get it for him.
All of those experience financially that you've had actually did come with genuine hardship.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
weren't, my children who are aware that I won't just buy them, things have a cost. We don't go on holiday loads of times because I'm saving for something else. There's not actual hardship here.
Yeah.
The three girls, like, they've still got new school shoes for the start of they're not going without some of those magical moments like a Christmas tree. That will have potentially really hurt as a child. So even if you were a bit more transparent, things do cost money, I've got to work hard for that. He's not going without, maybe in the same way that you felt, ouch, this really did hurt us and it really did upset me and it really had those kind of attachments.
Yeah.
But also, like, wrapping it up in the sense of what we've been talking about all day, often when you talk about money a lot in that negative sense, right, it's because you're being reactive, you're struggling, you're in that moment, blah, blah. If you were sitting down wherever you are, at whatever point you are financially, and you're planning
it,
and you're looking at the future, that takes away some of your anxiety, which ultimately will take away from the kids. Before we kind of close out, when people are any secret finance hacks that any of us would have no idea about, or is there no such thing as those?
It's a secret. I'm joking. I was thinking about this on the way. I mean, there is no shortcuts, obviously.
Okay.
Damn.
But
I can't just be rich.
Bibbidi bobbidi boo.
Should we all buy a lotto ticket?
But one of the things that I just personally transitioned to the other day is I moved my banking from a standard just national bank, and I was fed up because I tried to change my name since I've been married, and I have to go into a branch and sign something with a signature. And I can only go in between 12 and 2 on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and it's like 30 miles. I'm just not doing it. Like, if you can't make this
Easy.
when I can change my passport online and my driving license, and you need me to sorry, I expect better from technology nowadays. So I changed my bank over to what was known as a fintech bank, so it's all online, all digital. And I'm blown away by the amount I can track, monitor, and organise my finances.
Do you love it?
Yes, I do. I can round up to the nearest pound. Like, I'm not going to give anything away by endorsing a particular brand. There's a few out there, and Martin Lewis does good summaries of banks.
My mum loves Martin.
Oh,
And do you think
he's a Marmite, isn't he? You either love him or hate him. But I actually really like the webpage for sources of information, breaking things down.
Right.
Especially for things like ISAs, maybe, and
I can
costs
see you on
and
this
charges.
morning. Do you know what I mean?
Really?
Move over, Martin.
Move over, Martin. Amelia's coming in.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Amelia's coming to take your crown.
Yeah.
Imagine.
Is there worth, when you talk about moving banks as well, is another hack, or is it a waste of time? Is it worth spending the time every year to putting in, like, compare.com, all things like your utility bills, your insurance, of moving, because they all have deals? Like, can you actually save quite a bit from doing that?
You're either somebody that loves doing that or hates doing that.
I hate doing
it. So I know a lot of people that, when banks put incentives, switch bank, I'll give you £200. They'll be all over that. With all the cashback schemes, they're all over that. There's a saying, look after the pennies and the pounds will follow. Yeah. So if you have the headspace, and I think the purpose of this pod is just to recognise how overloaded we are as mums.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if it's your calling and you have capacity to do that, then you can save yourself some money or make some money doing all of these switching and doing these reassessments. I'm also conscious just to say, don't make your life harder.
Yeah.
Sometimes, it's just easier to renew than it is to do all the paperwork on your home insurance and go through a compare website again. Obviously, if you know what your premium's going up by each year, if they've bumped it up £500, go and sit and
thank you for saying that, and thank you for recognising that and reminding us of that, because it can all become quite overwhelming. And obviously we've talked about so many things today, and I think we could have gone so deep into elements. But
You're holding me back.
Yeah, I know.
guys.
It's a 40-minute pod. And maybe we will, we'll get some feedback from the listeners on what people want to know more about. And maybe we'll do a Q&A or another pod and go a little bit deeper. But if our listeners were to take 2 to 3 key takeaways from today that they should prioritize,
empower them.
Yeah, to empower them. What would it be from the stuff we've talked about today?
I would always say, do for yourself what you would expect to do for your children. So for me, that means I want you to feel confident with your money. And however that looks, it's a skill. We learn to walk, talk, ride a bike, go to work. It is a skill and it is a moving piece, so it needs some attention. But make sure you can independently stand on your own 2 feet, however that looks. It doesn't necessarily mean you need to be rich to do that. It's just take back that control. So I would always put yourself first without being unapologetically selfish.
Yeah.
It is so important because 40% of marriages end in divorce, relationships break down.
We just had that stat on a recent pod.
And I talked about wills the other day and protecting what you have and cohab agreements. Ronaldo was married Georgina and there was whispers around their prenup. And I was like, thank God, a celebration of a prenup because people don't like that conversation, but it's a really important part of the jigsaw. So my biggest piece of advice is be selfish with this and make sure you, as your own person, are okay because whatever life throws at you, as long as you have your own stability, you can get through it.
Yeah. 100%.
What's been your biggest takeaway from what our lovely media is?
Yeah, I think obviously we're going through the process at the moment and everything as you were talking, Emmelia, it was like you had heard everything in my brain 6 months or a year ago. And I think the biggest thing is having the confidence to have those conversations. Money is not a bad word. Financial planning is not a bad word. It doesn't have to, like when I said to Mark, I think we need to meet with a financial planner. I think we need to sit down.
Did he think you were diagnosing a problem?
And he was like,
mean?
he was like, oh, this is going to be a lot of work. It has been work.
Yeah.
But he's like, they just want to take all our money and spend it all. And it has been the complete opposite. And it has been such an eye opener. So I think everybody needs to spend a little bit of time and it can be simple. I really want people to walk away from this pod thinking, oh, well, even if you don't know anything about this world or you make very little money, there's room for everybody to have these conversations. Everybody at the table. Everyone can talk about budgeting. Everybody can have emergency funds. Everybody can understand their current position, where they want to be, how to get there and what the impact is. And just having those simple conversations, I think, is really, really powerful.
That recognition of the industry is, I am so grateful for because it was a very different industry before. It was product pushing and it was just essentially taking people's money, selling them an insurance product, a fund, whatever, and then going, see, that's what it was known for. I've come into an industry that is totally different. It's a totally different service. And like I said, investing and doing that is the last part. I need to know you and help you. And if that's staying in cash for the next 5 years, fantastic. That's the right thing for you to do. But yeah, I just want to say thank you because people totally misassume what financial planning is.
Which I probably did too before. What about you? What was your key takeaway?
Probably, and it's reminding me a bit from my teaching days.
Okay.
So back when, it wasn't even that long ago, it was only 2 years ago I was a teacher, the head would always talk about the learning journey. So he would always say, you as a reception teacher need to understand and know the journey of where the children in your class are heading for as they go towards year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We all are all teachers as part of the same journey for the children. There needs to be progression. There needs to be this, that and the other. And I've never thought about money as a learning journey before. I've just seen it as do I have enough for today? Do I have enough to pay my bills? What am I short of? And to kind of look at the why as to like, what do we both want out of life? Like, and how are we getting there? What does the journey look like? I think that's huge. And probably just like you said there, like if I am not right now at this very moment in time, like financially stable by myself. But we were talking before, weren't we, about the fact that that's been a bit of a process for me to drop those walls and let go, which I think is another pod. But that's something I need to look into, really. Probably the wrong time, but kind of got something going on.
That's it. It's just the
I'm out of office for a little bit.
We're okay. Take the foot off the gas for a bit.
And that's it. Just female empowerment. We talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
That it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to challenge our partners or challenge ourselves if we don't have a partner. It's okay to think about our future, to be selfish, as you said, to think about our kids without spoiling them in inverted commas.
Yeah.
If people want, I mean, obviously we're going to be sharing all your details, and you're going to be all over our socials because we love you. But what's your Instagram handle? If people want to get in touch with you to ask a few more questions, if they're thinking about financial planning, how can they get in touch with you?
On LinkedIn, Emmelia Powell. I've got a friend from Manchester that thought I was Emmelia. Because it's not spelled Amelia, it's Emmelia. So, but Emmelia Powell LinkedIn, Instagram is Emmelia_PWS. Or just reach out to you guys.
Yeah.
You know, I love just having the conversations, being able to give people pointers, help them as much as I can.
Brilliant. And obviously, as we're putting stuff on socials, people can comment, people can DM us, but we also have an email address, motherloadingpodcast@gmail.com. So please send in your questions, send in your thoughts.
Send in your comments.
Emmelia, thank you so much.
You're inspirational to me.
Likewise.
You really
we're
are.
all doing it. We're all juggling.
And
it's hard.
So
hard.
my Instagram is Nicky Novello. So it's not my name here. So it's me that's always like on all your stuff.
She's doing it again. She's winning. She's bossing.
Well, thank you so much. And we hope to have you back again.
Yeah, it'd be lovely.
All
Thanks,
right,
guys.
Brill.
Thank you.